we officially enter the here goes nothing portion of the Arizona Cardinals season. It's Week 10 Q&A. Come on.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Just doing a little Q&A here today. A couple quick things. One, I can officially say that I'm the host of the Arizona Cardinals podcast that's part of the #1 sports podcast network. Locked On Podcast Network is now officially the #1 sports podcast network. Couldn't be prouder to be a part of it. Thanks to everybody who's hung out for the last, this is 9th season. Man, being #1 is absolutely insane. For those that don't know, as people start to filter in, we're going to do a Q&A. Drop them in the chat. I'll wait till it all populate, and then we'll get to them. For those that don't know how I got the Locked On job, some people may know this, but for those that don't, I was working at Fox Sports 910. I was working as a producer / co-host at times, and I was just looking for something else. And I saw on Indeed, there was an internship for the Utah Jazz. And I saw that David Locke's personal email was the contact. This was 9 years ago. So I was like, I don't really want that job, but I know David Locke is the play-by-play guy for the Jazz. So who knows? Probably be a good person to see. Emailed him, sent him my resume. He emailed me back saying, you're way too qualified for this. You wouldn't like this, but I'm starting a podcast platform, or I've started a podcast platform, and we need an Arizona Cardinals guy. Do you want to do it? So it's a crazy roundabout way to get here, but here we are 9 years later, and we're still ripping it now. Locked On Podcast Network is the #1 sports podcast network on the planet. So thanks everybody for hanging out. So let's jump into Week 10. After I recorded my show for Friday, the news came out that we were going to be without, or the Cardinals are going to be without Max Melton, Will Johnson, and Mac Wilson. Not great. The Cardinals were without Garrett Williams during Week 4 when the Cardinals held the Seahawks to 23 points. The Seahawks offense has evolved, at least in the passing game. The run game hasn't been fantastic, but I think at this point, you can trust Nick Rallis to put some game plan together that will hopefully curtail Jackson Smith-Njigba from having 700 receiving yards. That's kind of what you hope for. Keeping Jackson Smith-Njigba under 35 catches for 700 receiving yards and multiple touchdowns. And while the tongue-in-cheek, if you keep him under 100 yards and out of the end zone, that's a win, at least from the DB perspective. But they've got A.J. Barner. They've got Torrey Holden, I think his name is. They've got dudes. And they just traded for Rashid Shaheed also. So all eyes are going to be on the defense. It's crazy. And again, drop your questions if you got them. I know people are starting to filter in. I'm happy to answer anything Cardinals related. All eyes are on the defense now, which is a wild spin from where we've been for the majority of the season, at least for the first handful of weeks until Kyler Murray got hurt. The defense is now tasked with saving the season, I guess. If the Cardinals are going to win, the defense has to be elite. If the Cardinals want to win a handful of games and actually be in the hunt come, down the stretch with a murderer's gauntlet row of games that they got to play, the defense has to be elite, and it doesn't matter who's out there and who isn't. We're going to see Cody Simon wearing the green dot, 4th-round pick out of Ohio State. For those that don't know who Cody Simon is, Cody Simon was the defensive MVP of the national championship game last year. Will Johnson won that crown the year prior. Cody Simon this past year. So the dude isn't, averse to being in high-pressure situations. And this is going to be the highest pressure situation for the Arizona Cardinals and Cody Simon during the entirety of this season so far. Because, the Cardinals lost 5 games by a combined 13 points. We talked about it a lot. But now, being 3-5, seeing something with the offense that we haven't seen. They got a good win against Dallas. Dallas averaged 30.8 points per game going into last week. The Cardinals held them to 10. I know they scored 17. One was from a block punt that turned into a touchdown. The only team that scores more points than the Dallas Cowboys is the Seattle Seahawks. So if the Cardinals can clamp in some form or fashion under 25 points, the Seattle Seahawks without two of their top three corners, we're really having a discussion. And unfortunately, it very well could be too little too late. Okay, I'm fully aware of that. But they're going to have to beat good teams regardless. So why not start on the road in Seattle, where the Arizona Cardinals, as underdogs, have had a proclivity over the last 10 or 15 years to win games in Seattle when Seattle was by far the better team. So here's to hoping that, this Sunday the Cardinals can move to 4-5. Let's get some of these questions here. In your opinion, what needs to happen for us to have a potential wild card spot? 10 wins. 10 wins. It's what it was when the season started. And 10 wins, this is lunacy to say. But with how deep the NFC has been, 10 wins may not even do it when tiebreakers are involved. But 10 wins. So they got to win 7 out of their next 9. So obviously, this is something where it's okay, they got to win 7 out of their next, they've every time a game goes away, it's all right, they got to win every game for the rest of the year. We're going to get to that point, and obviously that has a 0.0 times a million 1% chance of happening. But on Sunday, they can really it doesn't save their season, but it keeps them not dead. Terrible English, but it keeps them not dead. I'm going to stick to it. Let's see. You think Marv can repeat last week, or was it just because it was Dallas? The interesting thing about Marv with Jacoby Brissett is he got hurt, or he went in concussion protocol against Green Bay, and he was humming. He had 2 for 40 or something like that. I need to double check the numbers, but I don't think that it's because it was Dallas's defense. It helped, but I think that Jacoby Brissett throws the ball down the field. The depth of target is far deeper than where Kyler Murray was throwing the ball. I know those numbers can be skewed a little bit because the Cardinals did get a little QB wide receiver screen happy in part of the Green Bay and a little bit of the Indy game that kind of, regressed that number back to the mean. But yeah, I don't think this faucet's going to shut down. What Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to need to do is show that he's got elite in him, like he has of late. It was the catch. It was that, high-pointed catch over Devin Witherspoon. And I know there's going to be Seattle Seahawks fans in the chat. I know Devin Witherspoon wasn't 100%, but that was the one. And then Marv got down on one knee and was finally, kind of thing, after having the case of the drop season, all that stuff. Marv's here. He's not going anywhere. It's going to be varying degrees of good to great for the rest of his career. He just needs a quarterback that can huck it to him. Is Jacoby this is a good one. Is Jacoby the starter week 1 of 2026? The if before this statement is so big that it can't even fit in my room right now. Okay? So if this offense looks competent like it has, and they've had no semblance of a run game. Jacoby Brissett, it's completely unsustainable for Jacoby Brissett to throw the ball 45 times a game. I know he threw less against Dallas because they were winning, but it's unsustainable. He can't take all the hits. Okay, the offensive line's not going to hold up. Pass pro's way more difficult than run protection. If he and Drew Petzing figure out how to keep them relevant on the offensive side of the ball for the rest of the season, I have no problem running it back with him. I would almost say yes now, because Jacoby Brissett's a little bit different. He started he's not like Chase Daniel or somebody who's just a career backup. Chase made a whole bunch of cheese with Philly, with the Chargers. I think he was with Kansas City. He was with a bunch of teams. He was the clipboard holder. He went in and he had spot starts where he played pretty well. But the dude made a lot of cake just being a backup quarterback. Jacoby started more games than he's backed up or close. I mean, he was the bridge guy until Deshaun Watson's legal trouble was sorted out in Cleveland. He started for a year in some games in Indy. He's started everywhere he's been. So he's not this traditional stereotypical backup quarterback. The dude's played meaningful snaps for a long time. And he's only 32. People talk about him like he's 40. This is the prime of an NFL quarterback still, especially one who's a tree trunk. Why do you think Joe Flacco can still hang? He's a large man. And he can huck it. And he's got a good arm. So, yeah, like this is what I think would be the best case scenario. Because you're not like, for your friends, everydayers, I will challenge you to challenge your friends when they say, oh, they just got to trade for somebody. What's that look like? Stevie? What's that look like, Keith? Trade for some. Oh, so the Bengals just give you Joe Burrow for a pick? Or what was your plan there? Just trade for somebody. Cool. Who? I would venture to guess that you wouldn't be able to trade for somebody that is more talented than Jacoby Brissett. It's just not happening. Oh, draft somebody. Okay, who? Oh, the Mendoza kid out of India. Oh, he's going to be going top 3 probably. So you want to trade multiple picks to go up and get a rookie and then just burn everything that Monty Ossenford has built, hoping this kid pans out? Oh, that sounds fun. So when you think about it in rational senses here, I think Jacoby Brissett probably, unless the wheels fall off and he turns into a pumpkin, which very well could happen, I think the chance of Jacoby Brissett starting in week 1 of next year is higher than him not, barring any sort of radical thing that's happened. He's under contract for another year. So maybe you draft somebody in the 3rd round or something like that. 2027 is going to be a transcendent draft class, not just for quarterbacks, for wide receivers, offensive linemen, running backs, edge rushers, everything. There's a chance to be the best draft ever, at least on paper. So to be long-winded about it, if you had to ask me now if is he going to be the week 1 starter from what we've seen, yeah, but that's with that massive if before it. Let's see here. Now that Walter Nolan's healthy, that opens up opportunities on the outside for Robinson. Yeah, like, see, I don't know if this was a question or a statement, but they got to figure out something with Darius Robinson because he played both. He played on the outside his junior year, second to last year in college, and I think they moved him inside because he's a large man. But I don't know if that's going to work. Same thing with Zaven Collins. It's like they moved him around from off-ball backer, which he didn't play much in college, to now off the edge, and he's kind of a hybrid dude now. Darius Robinson is a very talented football player. They just got to figure out the right spot. And if Walter Nolan can be at 80% of what he was against Dallas for his career, like, they're going to have no issues with the quick twitchiness that he's got. Like, they can move people all around because, like, you have the big bodies of Calais and Dalvin Tomlinson. You have Walter Nolan, who's, like, tiptoeing around offensive linemen and getting home quickly. It's wild. Like, Walter Nolan, and I said this on the show a couple days ago, Walter Nolan, like, that game Monday night, all I saw from the people I trust that I follow on Twitter that are my friends in this business, that are draft guys, it's just quote tweet, DT1, quote tweet, defensive tackle 1, defensive tackle 1. Everybody knew this was coming. And the fact that he dropped to the Cardinals at 16 is bonkers. And I know it's only been 1 week, but damn it, that looked impressive. Who is Kyler made better throughout his career? I think James Conner. I would say James Conner. I think the offensive lineman early on in his career, when he was, I used to say a lot that the best offensive lineman the Arizona Cardinals has is Kyler Murray's legs. That's kind of what it was. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily fair. It's difficult to just pinpoint that. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Once the Jags take a nosedive, see, I don't think Trevor Lawrence is. I would rather have Jacoby Brissett than Trevor Lawrence in many instances, unless Trevor Lawrence takes that leap. Like, he was supposed to be the next Andrew Luck, and he hasn't been. I know they won a playoff game, but I don't know. I wouldn't want any part. I wouldn't want any part of Trevor Lawrence. Let's see here. If the Cardinals win against Seattle, they'll have a great chance to fight for a wild card spot because they'll have the confidence moving forward. Yeah, I mean, they still got to win the games, and they play very, very – they got to play the Rams twice. They got to play the 49ers again. They play Tampa Bay. They play Atlanta. They do play Jacksonville. They play Cincinnati late in the season. Who knows if Joe Burrow will be back. Like, this is the toughest schedule moving forward. So, it's going to be interesting to see if they're able to, hold up. Ever since James Conner went down, well, because this is the thing, Money, like, this is what it's been since James Conner got here. Even with Cliff, it was like, okay, James Conner's the offense. Oh, he got hurt. Oh, what do you do now? What do you do now? Oh, James Conner's hurt. Oh, what do you do now? So that's kind of that's kind of the James Conner. I was really hoping this year. It's really terrible that he got hurt. Because I was really hoping for that fringe backup role to where Trey Benson can kind of jump in. We'll see if Trey Benson can come back. Obviously, he's not coming back this week. I wonder if they'll open up his window next week. They could really use some pop in the run game. I'll be back in just a moment. Got to do a quick live read here. Yeah, I'll be back in just a sec. This episode of Q&A Week 10 is brought to you by Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple, man. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same number and contacts. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch to mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. Upfront payments of $45 required. Limited time new customer offer for 3 months only. Speeds may slow down above 35 gigs on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Today's episode is also brought to you by Prize Picks, if I can find the dang thing. Prize Picks makes what they do very easy. Like, I use Prize Picks. They've been a sponsor forever. And you make decisions every day. Being right can get you paid on Prize Picks. You don't miss any of the action of this sports season, whether you're the NFL, NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in on the action. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. So, yeah, jumping on and I see some comments with the running backs. It's like there's one thing, this is about the running backs also, that I'm proud of. At least my everydayers, people who watch and comment on my shows and Twitter and stuff. There's been no excuses. Oh, everybody's injured. How can you expect this team to win? This team has competed every game, regardless of who's played on the field, which – for those that want to fire Jonathan Gannon, Monty Austin for crazy stuff, look at how they're prepared every week, regardless of who's playing. They were without Will Johnson and Garrett Williams for a game. They are now without Max Melton and Will Johnson. No Mac Wilson, obviously. Like, they don't care. They haven't had a running back who's been like I know Amari DiMercado's in Tennessee. Or against Tennessee when he dropped it on front of the goal line, which every video I watch, it looks like it crossed. It looks like it cleared the plane, but I digress. They haven't had any real semblance of a run game, and I don't know if it's talent. I don't know if it's Justin Fry, the offensive line coach. I don't know if Drew Petzing's lost his sauce, but the run game has been great, and they've been able to maintain and stay in games because, Jacoby Brissett's been able just to huck it. Here, let me see. I got a couple more questions here. One sec. Who's been given more grace by this regime? Jonah Williams, B.J. Laurie, even Amari. Oh, I think it's Jonah Williams. I don't know. You can't put a quarterback in there because they get the most grace all the time. You could also say it's obviously Kyler Murray because he had 7 years. I get that. But you got to take quarterbacks out of this conversation. I think Jonah Williams has, unfortunately, been a tough watch. Coming over from Cincinnati, he wasn't an elite offensive lineman. They got him, I think, 2 for $30 million. Like, it didn't break the bank to bring him in. But it's apparent that they need to draft the best right tackle in the draft. If that player falls to them next year, draft 2, sign one. Like, you're going to get to a point where Evan Brown's not going to cut it at left guard. Will Hernandez is getting older. Jonah Williams is not it, unfortunately. It's not a direct attack at him, but, I mean, the avatar that is the right tackle of the Arizona Cardinals is not performing. Kelvin Beachum is supposed to be a spot start guy. Okay? Supposed to be a jumbo package guy. And you may come to a point where you got to start him over Jonah Williams. You just may have to listen. I have seen, with DJ Humphries is younger than I thought, but the last year of DJ Humphries, before he got hurt, it was like, oh, it's time. Oh, the step is lost. I'm starting to see that with Kelvin Beachum. Haven't seen it up until this season. I know he's significantly older than DJ Humphries, but the Cardinals have completely avoided adding talent to the offensive line. And they, outside of Paris Johnson, obviously, they need to address that immediately. I know that there are a lot of people who said they should have drafted Joe Alt. Before the draft 2 years ago, I was in trade back. I was trade back, get a couple first rounders, get another first round next year, and rebuild. But I was not, if they were to stick and pick, it should have just been Marv. Like, there's not, it's like, oh, Joe Alt, okay, that's fine. In hindsight, I mean, Joe Alt can't stay healthy. That's fine. And also, Marvin Harrison Jr. was the highest graded college football player, irrespective of position, from a couple of my dear friends who have now made it up into meteoric ranks in this space. Highest graded since they've been in this business. So you take Marv. So I don't think that the revisionist history there is necessarily fair. I think that Marv is blossoming. And we're seeing much more good than bad from him every week, which is a huge 0-1 jump from what we'd seen. So that's a win. Going into this game, before we jump out here, if you have any more questions, I'm going to hang out for another 5 or 7 minutes here. If you have any more questions, drop them in. Max Melton and Will Johnson there. Listen, Will Johnson has had injuries. I think there's a glute issue, hamstring issue. You just hope that he can stay healthy through his career with Will Johnson. Going into this game, a couple things to watch. One is how the Cardinals will be able to get pressure on Sam Darnold, and that's really spearheaded by Walter Nolan. To see if Walter Nolan can disrupt immediately, he's going to be going up against Gray Zabel. So who was the guy that I wanted them to draft at 16? If Walter Nolan, I would happily eat my shorts if Walter Nolan turns out to be that next guy, of course. But Walter Nolan can really set the pace for the defense, which sounds weird because it's his second game. And yeah, he had a great game against Dallas, but expecting that from him when it's his second game is kind of a fool's errand. We'll see if it happens. But setting the tone means if he and Calais Campbell can run rough shot on the interior of the offensive line of the Seahawks, that opens everything up. It opens up interior pressure, obviously. It allows Josh Sweat to spring from the outside, which means Sam Darnold has to throw the ball faster, which means the DBs don't have to cover for as long. Like, he could be that missing piece that this defense needed from being good and solid and, visions of elite to like, oh man, this is a real deal top 5 defense. And I'm not just saying for this year, I'm saying for the future. So that's one thing to watch. Can you get pressure on Sam Darnold and make him throw some errant passes? Maybe he puts the ball in the turf. With that, they got to win the turnover battle, and they actually have to turn over the Seahawks. Like, it can't be 0-0. They need short fields for this offense. They need any sort of advantage they can get, all the while not throwing interceptions or fumbling the ball themselves. The Cardinals should have had 5 takeaways against Dallas. So Mac Wilson drop, and then George Pickens fumbled, and then somebody on that team recovered. I can't remember. Could have been him. They have to win the turnover battle by actually taking the ball away and not giving it up. I know all of these things are like, well, yeah, obviously. It's like, yeah, but these are really, really difficult to implement, especially when you're on the road, especially with the quarterback who's now, only started a handful of games. We'll see what the offensive line can do holding up let me tell you something. This defense and defensive front isn't spearheaded by Jadeveon Clowney and Dante Fowler, okay? Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, these guys are, nightmare fuel. And you best believe they are going to stack the right side of the defense, or they're going to stack the left side of their defensive line, which is immediately looking right at Jonah Williams. They've seen the tape, and it's going to be a matter of Justin Fry and Drew Petzing and Jacoby Brissett really big-braining this and allowing him to stay upright a little bit more than he has been, because he's taken a bunch of hits every week, and just because the sack numbers are far lower than what they would be if it was, a smaller quarterback, man, the hits, it's not sustainable. It's just absolutely not sustainable. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I'm done with, you got to control the clock, give the defense some help, huck it, go. They've got nothing to lose. Well, the coaches do. Not really. Nobody really expected this. I did. I said Kyler Murray sucks from the beginning. Okay, here's your gold star. We're talking like adults now. I don't think anybody has anything to lose in the sense that I think Jonathan Gannon should 100% come back. I am not out on Drew Petzing coming back if this offense continues to work better with Jacoby than it did with Kyler Murray. You're having a completely different conversation about Drew Petzing if the offense looked good from the start, right? This offense doesn't look bad. I know they get into third and long situations. This is where the excuse comes in that they've got no run game. It's difficult when everybody knows you're throwing the ball to run an offense. But I think this is just huck it, baby. Have some fun. Who cares? Like, they're playing on house money right now. They quite literally have nothing to lose. Everybody's coming back. Jonah Williams may not. But, everybody's young. The cornerstone pieces are all looking at 2026 also. If they fight and they win 8 games or something this year, I'm sure Calais will come back for another year. If he continues to play the way he plays. Score prediction, yuck. This is one of those polarized games. I don't know what the over. I don't really care. If you told me this was 16-13, I'd believe it. If you told me that this was in the mid-20s, like it was the last time, I'd believe it. And this is something I've struggled with. I don't know which game script better suits the Cardinals. Points at a premium or both teams are scoring. I genuinely don't know. We don't know what, especially with the young DBs out and Mac Wilson out, Cody Simon, taking the charge in the middle of the field. I don't know. I think higher scoring would benefit the Cardinals. And that sounds weird because, you would think, well, you can control more. And then if Seattle's offense is ripping and you're going to have to throw to stay in, they're going to have to throw no matter what. So it's I'd rather them have more margin for error, which means say there is one turnover, or say, there's a 3 and out early and then Seattle comes down and scores and they've got to go score. I trust Jacoby Brissett to push the ball down the field in a way that any downset hike could be a catch and run for a touchdown. That wasn't the case this season with Kyler Murray. And I know that these things sound completely backwards. We're living in a backwards world for the rest of the year. Everything that we've talked about doesn't matter anymore because it's a new quarterback and it looks like it's not going to change. This is the first time we felt this in 7 years. So I don't know what this offense is, but I know the upside, or I know that the floor is definitely higher. And we haven't experienced that watching this team in a while. So you got to look at it completely differently. You have to completely rewire your brain when you're approaching going into the Pacific Northwest and going a game that you have to win if you want to stay relevant in 2025 against who happens to be a top 3 team in the NFC. I don't know. I think playing to Jacoby's strengths, getting Marv, getting Trey involved, and Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch will trickle in. Zay Jones. I'm sure Elijah Higgins will have a role. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I unequivocally know the floor will be higher than what it was. And the final path to victory, the final key that you got to look for, 20-plus targets combined with Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't care. All good players get open. These guys have been open since Jacoby Brissett has taken over. Throw it more. Throw it more. That'll open up the world for Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, and others. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I really appreciate it. I just do these. These are just fun little extra things that I'll be doing through the regular season. After the game, I'll do my 15-minute instant reaction, followed by the Cardinal Squad Show with Jamil Douglas, myself, and Ben Garcia. Remember, without you, there is no me. I will talk to you tomorrow immediately following the game.